26 minutes to 2 o'clock. You're watching the Midday View on ENCA, DSTV channel 403. Now, 18 million social grants were paid out every month in the 2021-2022 financial year. That's according to the Social Development Department. Minister Lindiwe Zulu tabled the department's budget to the National Assembly this morning. The department's allocated budget is 205 billion rand for the current financial year. That's, of course, until the end of March 2022. Minister Zulu is joining us now here on the Midday View to discuss her budget vote. Ma'am, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time and happy Africa Day. You look very colorful in those beautiful African colors.
Yes, Africa is colorful. The people of Africa are very colorful. And I'm hoping that you are colorful too. I didn't see you. I don't see you. So I hope you are in some...
Well, I think this interview will be recorded and it'll be on ENCA's YouTube channel. You'll see what I look like there and hopefully you approve.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. 205 billion rand for your budget sounds like a lot of money, but of course it is a reduced budget from previous years. Are you happy with that amount?
Well, I could be happier with more when I consider the challenges that we face on the ground, especially from a social development point of view, regarding, for instance, issues of poverty, unemployment and inequality, and I look at the impact of what COVID-19 has done. It has almost decimated jobs, and so the people who actually have been able to fend for their families are finding even difficult to do so. However, I'd quickly say we're not the only ones that are looking at for money from the fiscus. We also depend on other departments, and we are hopeful that other departments will also help us step up in terms of supporting the people that we support as a Department of Social Development. As you know, 95% of our budget is allocated to social grants, which goes to the 18 million beneficiaries that you are talking about, at the cost of 195.516 billion.
Okay, now 95% is a big chunk for social grants. We'll delve a little bit deeper into that shortly. What about the remaining 5%? Where are you spending it?
The remaining 5% goes into ensuring that the institutional framework and structure of SASSA, for instance, and its capacity to be able to deliver on this is properly improved. The rest of the money goes to the Department of Social Development itself, because we've also got a whole range of other programs that we have to take care of. And then it also goes to the National Development Agency. And by the way, I personally feel pained by the amount of money that is given, allocated to the National Development Agency, because I think this is the agency that we need to scale up in terms of support, because it's the one that will go out to the community, mobilize communities through civil society to make sure that people are able to do things for themselves.
Yeah, I guess 215 million rand for the National Development Agency this financial year, as you've allocated, may not be a lot of money, but if they box smartly, they could stretch it to try and alleviate poverty.
Absolutely, absolutely. They could stretch it out, because that's why one of the things that I'm asking National Development Agency to do is to look at itself from a developmental point of view and make sure that we also talk to other people, other development agencies, and pool our resources together, look at other people who are doing a lot of good work from NPO point of view, national, that they can connect with those people. But when all is said and done, it's also about the National Development Agency looking at the potential within communities. If we talk about small business development, working together with the Department of Small Business Development, if we talk about cooperatives, then they can connect there, so that ultimately whatever resources we have, we grow those resources by expanding the opportunities and possibility for communities to have things that they can do for themselves.
Now, Minister,
to pull themselves
together, yeah, I think that's important as well. Minister, you also allocated 1 billion rand to early childhood development. Do you think that's going to be sufficient? I mean, considering all the constraints and the importance of the foundational phase in education.
Remember that allocated amount is the amount that's allocated when it comes to the Department of Social Development. And also, may I just say, in my speech, I did indicate the movement of early childhood development to the Department of education. We're way far in terms of ensuring that that is transferred. But most of the money that we also have for early childhood development is for supporting those early childhood development centers which are dependent in the main on government. But you have other early childhood development programs where citizens, mothers, fathers, pay for their children being early childhood development. Unfortunately for us, the bulk of early childhood development, which is happening in rural areas and in the townships, is what really at the moment entirely depends on government support.
Okay, and then you are sort of transitioning to education department. Let's come back to something very topical, COVID-19 relief grants, which have stopped at 350 Rand. You've gone in public to say, even in your speech today, that it's been very useful and some people have used it very well. You use an example of a lady who collected the 350 and did something useful for her own household and livelihood. Where are we at with that? I mean, you were going to speak to Treasury to see if they could still extend that 350. Currently, it's been stopped. Where are you with those efforts?
Firstly, we are ensuring that those that did not receive their money throughout the period, which is very unfortunate that we still have some people who have not received all their money. But I think SASSA is doing everything they can to make sure that those that are outstanding must still be paid. And the fact that it ended in April doesn't mean that those people who are still owed by SASSA cannot be paid. They have to be paid. That's where I want to lay that to rest, that I still want to make sure that people are paid. Secondly, of course, the president extended until May, and now we are until April, and April is over, and we have made our presentations to Treasury. We've made our presentations wherever was necessary for us to do that, and I do want to say that, of course, due to the constraints, the budgetary constraints, we are not far from where we thought we would be, but we're not going to give up, because we still think that many people who were able to take care of themselves, who were in jobs, are not yet in jobs. And the fact of the matter is that we're all looking at the third wave and the impact of that and what is it going to do. So we are still engaging, and we'll see how far we can go. But also we wanted to use this as a leverage towards the basic income grant.
I wanted to ask about that, because there are so many views about the universal basic income grant, and some people saying the threshold must be just at the upper level of the poverty line. What are your views on that, very briefly, and what is the progress being made in all the consultations?
Yeah, well, with the basic income grant, obviously it's got to be just above the threshold, because when all is said and done, it's about enabling people with something so that they can take care of themselves, but also some, as you've indicated, some start their businesses, some start their cooperatives. We're far with that conversation. We still, of course, need to present to Cabinet. You know the usual government processes that sometimes take long, but they are necessary because we've got to do that. We haven't given up on that. The processes are still ongoing, and I'm not prepared to give up on that yet.
Okay, we wish you well. I will touch base with you later on, because it is in the interest of South Africa in the fight against poverty to consider a very useful or substantive basic income grant for everybody aged between 15 and 59. Thank you very much, ma'am. That's Lindiwe Zulu, the Minister of Social... You're welcome. Minister Lindiwe Zulu there, or Minister of Social Development.